If you're here, you've probably been putting in the work to lose the body fat, but you haven't been seeing the results that you expected. They say the biggest reason why people quit their fat loss journey despite their hard work is because they're seeing little to no progress. And it's frustrating, right? You feel like you're doing everything right, but you're not seeing the number on the scale change, and you're not seeing the belly fat in the mirror change either. The truth is, most unknowingly make hidden mistakes that they don't even know are stalling their progress. So today in this video, I'm going to reveal to you the 3 most common hidden mistakes that you might be making and then how to fix them. So stick around to the end because the last mistake is by far the most common mistake that most people make, and if you don't address it, you'll continue to spin your wheels and you won't see progress. My name is Bobby O'Brien. I've been mentored and advised by a medical doctor with 40 plus years of clinical experience, and I've helped dozens of career-driven men all around the world lose their belly fat and lose weight sustainably while managing their busy career and without having to count or restrict a single calorie either. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right in. So the number 1 mistake that most people make when they're on a fat loss journey is they don't follow a plan that is a true lifestyle change. If you're 4 weeks, 12 weeks, or even just a week or 2 into your fat loss journey, into your plan, and you can't honestly tell yourself that you can follow this indefinitely for the rest of your life, then you're following the wrong plan. Now, of course, you're going to have to make some sacrifices with your diet and with your exercise routine. You're going to have to do difficult things at times, absolutely. All things that are worth achieving take some level of sacrifice. But at the same time, it does not mean you have to sacrifice everything, sacrifice your time, sacrifice your energy, or even depending on how bad the approach is, you may even sacrifice your health. So you want to make sure you're actually following the right strategy that is sustainable for you and is addressing the root cause of why you actually have this body fat to begin with. So if you have any sliver of doubt whenever you are asking yourself if you can follow this plan when you're in the middle of following it, then you most likely need to make some tweaks, or you may need to follow a different strategy if what you are following feels like a chore instead of a lifestyle change. You have to check the box for enjoyable, because if it's not an enjoyable plan, if it feels like an absolute chore every single time you're about to pick up the weights, every single time you're about to calculate your calories, which we'll get to here in a moment, then you are going to put yourself in a very bad position to crash and burn. And then it's going to be super difficult for you to try another strategy, another plan, another program, whatever, whenever you've had a negative experience in the past. You want to build momentum. You want to build small wins. Losing 2 pounds is a big win, and then losing it sustainably is by far the biggest win, right? Because what is the point of losing the weight when, even if you've lost 50 to 60 pounds, if you end up gaining most, if not all of it back? This was the case in the Biggest Loser documentary when 6 years later they followed up with their participants that followed the calorie restrictive diet that they gave them, and only 1 out of the 14 participants in that documentary actually sustained their weight loss, when most of everybody else regained various amounts of weight, averaging around 100 pounds, and then 4 people regained all of their weight back. So that's why it's so important for you to not just address why you have this body fat to begin with the right plan, but then make sure this plan is going to be well aligned for you. Because if it's not going to matter how great this plan is if it's super unsustainable. So you have to check the box for a lifestyle change and truly ask yourself if you can follow this forever. If you can't say that you can follow this with 100% certainty, it's the wrong plan. So the second most common mistake that most make with their diet is they're too focused on the amount of calories that they're eating instead of what's being done with those calories once they're eaten. Let me explain this. When you are just focused on the quantity of your food, the number of calories that are coming in, you aren't addressing the root cause of why you gained this body fat to begin with, number 1. And then number 2, controlling and calculating calories completely goes against number 1, especially if you're a really busy guy, which you most likely are if you're watching this video. You don't have time to calculate and track your calories and twiddle your thumbs on MyFitnessPal whenever you're in between meetings on Zoom, or whenever you're working long hours. You're trying to run a business or do anything with your career that takes a lot of your bandwidth, a lot of your time, and a lot of your energy. And whenever you're following a very calorie restrictive diet, you are not addressing the root cause of why you gained this body fat. And the main reason why you store body fat to begin with is because of insulin, right? Insulin is a hormone that stores fat. When it's high, you store fat. When it's low, you don't. And when you're spiking your insulin levels with the wrong foods, you are going to be putting yourself in a position to store fat even if you're burning more than what you're taking in. You need to make sure that all the foods you're eating are keeping insulin low instead of spiking it and keeping it elevated. That's far more important than just the number of calories that you're eating. If I were to get 500 calories of some ice cream and compare it to 500 calories of some mackerel, some full-fat fish, to say that those two foods are equally as fattening because they have the same number of calories is just not true. Because what the body is going to do, especially in terms of insulin, with that ice cream in comparison to that full-fat mackerel, it's going to be two completely different things. So even if you are in a deficit, you're burning more than what you're taking in, if you're not addressing that second factor, you are not going to be addressing this fat gain in the long term. And if anything, if you follow a calorie restrictive diet for too long, and especially if you're in too much of a deficit, meaning that you're burning far more than what you're taking in, your metabolism will slow down at some point, especially if you are getting older. You guys are more prone to that. So when there's less fuel coming in, and it's much less than what it used to be, then the body will adapt and lower the rate at which it burns fuel. Because it has to, right? To maintain what's called homeostasis, which is a state of balance. In order to maintain that balance, the body can't all of a sudden start burning more fuel, can't boost its metabolism whenever there's less and less and less fuel coming in consistently, right? You're going to be taking steps closer and closer towards starvation in that scenario. So instead, when there's less and less fuel, especially much less than what was coming in before, your body will adapt and lower its metabolic rate. And when you combine that with eating foods that are spiking insulin, you're going to crash and burn a lot faster than you think. And that's why a lot of people that follow that method, especially with The Biggest Loser, like we mentioned earlier, that's why a lot of people don't sustain their progress, because they don't address the root cause of why they gain this body fat, and they don't do so in a way that actually works for them and their schedule. It's far more sustainable to focus on eating full-fat, higher protein animal foods that help you keep insulin low and eating some naturally sourced carbohydrates that work well for you without having to calculate every little number. It saves you more time, saves you more energy, if not boost your energy, will help you lose more body fat, and it's far more sustainable. And that's exactly what all these guys in this picture have followed with that exact system. And that's why you see that their belly fat changes in those transformation pictures in just about a month. They address the root cause of why they gained this body fat and do so in a way that actually works for their schedule. And if you'd like to learn more about how I can help you do the exact same thing, all my links are going to be down in the video description. The first link being a form that you can fill out to work with me one-on-one, and then based on your situation, I'll see if I can help. And the third and final most common mistake that most of you make when trying to lose body fat is that you make the wrong sacrifices. You sacrifice the things that are serving you well and your goals instead of sacrificing the things that aren't serving you or your goals at all. Now, what would be an example of this? Sacrificing processed carbohydrates, sugars, and straight garbage seed oils like canola oil, safflower oil, or sunflower oil, that's a sacrifice that is worth making because you are serving your future self. But others that may look at you making that sacrifice will say, oh, come on, take it easy. Come eat with us, come drink with us, just eat whatever you want. You've been working too hard, you've been going too hard on this diet, or whatever it may be. But what those people don't understand is that you are sacrificing something that is worth being sacrificed. That is something that is not serving you at all whatsoever. You just get short-term pleasure out of eating those foods. You don't get any sort of long-term fulfillment from eating those foods. You don't see an increase in your energy. You don't see a big boost in your mood, a boost in your metabolism. You don't see your confidence go up whenever you're eating foods like that. And whenever you are making the wrong choices with your health, consistently and your mindset is off, your priorities are off, you're making the wrong sacrifices. And if anything, it's not a very big surprise when you're making the wrong sacrifices and your health is not the only thing that is suffering. Your performance at work is suffering. Maybe your relationship with your spouse is suffering as well, your confidence, your self-esteem. Whenever you are making the wrong sacrifices, you are going to see a negative outcome in every other facet of your life besides just your own personal health. Because it does not matter how great of a career you have, how great of a relationship you have, how great your business is doing, whatever it is outside of your health. If your health completely sucks and you are making the wrong sacrifices and your priorities are off, they're going to show at some point, and then it's going to start to bleed into everything else. Your relationship might get a little bit worse. Business performance may get a little bit worse as well. Confidence will go down. If your health and your habits and your daily actions are not well optimized, even if it's not perfectly 100% sustainable, your life will not be optimized either. You want to find something that's sustainable. You want to find the right strategy that is going to work for you. But if you're not willing to make the right sacrifices, and if you're not going in with the right priorities and mindset, it does not matter how sustainable that plan is or how great of a strategy you're following if you don't have the right commitment and the right mindset going into that strategy. So you have to fix that mistake first. When you're asking yourself that question as well, like we did at the beginning, is this a true lifestyle change that I can follow for the rest of my life? That would be question number one. And then question number two, am I making the right sacrifices or the wrong sacrifices when I am following this particular strategy at the same time? If you can answer one of those two questions the right way, you're making the right sacrifices, and this is a lifestyle change that is fully aligned with you and your goals, that is when you've truly made it, and there's absolutely going to be nothing that can stop you from reaching your goals, losing your belly fat, and getting to your goal weight in 2025. And if you're ready to go into 2025 with that right strategy, that right mindset, and you're ready to commit to the plan that is going to be a true lifestyle change for you, all of our links are going to be down in the video description. The first link being the one I mentioned before, the form that you can fill out to work with me one-on-one to see if I can help. The second being our transformation overview, an overview of the many transformations these men have seen working with me one-on-one in full detail. And the third is a playlist of videos of these guys talking about their experience working with me one-on-one. So other than that, that's pretty much it for this video. Feel free to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Follow me on Instagram at itsbobbyobrien, and I will see you guys in the next video.